'Tis the shortest day of the year. Ooh-ah. Come then, let us be of good cheer. Ooh-ah. For nothing will have changed when the sun will return. Like Boris Johnson from Brussels. Ooh-ah. Mikey. My ass looks like a dead squid. Looks like a sausage. Dead squid. Good morning. Suppose we should probably get on with it. Here goes. Good morning. Hey there! Come on! Brilliant. Brand new week. Brand new start. A brand new year. What? And the same old... Well, hello there. Very good, merry, happy morning to you. Here we are, 15th of November, 2021, at the time of recording and live streaming and all of that stuff. And we've got some stuff going on, I'll tell you. Make no mistake. We've got Mic Wright coming up in a bit, I think, provided he didn't take offence to me talking about him being on the lav on Twitter just now, and him not actually being on the lav. And being prepared to come and talk about his brilliant newsletter. And later on, we've got a big celebration. I say a big celebration. It's me playing some tunes. It's coming up on Wednesday. It will be 2 years of this project of Not Today, Thank You. 2 whole years. 2 trips around the sun. And many, many hours of meritless audio. But it's exciting. What I've done is I've made an album. This is what I did last year. I made a kind of a compilation of all the musics which went into the show. And I've done that again, and it's going to be live on Wednesday. So you will be able to listen to all of that. I mean, don't buy it. Just stream it on one of the streaming ones. It's going to be great. In the meantime, though, I think we should do this.
Every day the papers pump out endless streams of hate. The fifth column's propaganda they will propagate. But who can penetrate the ramparts of the fourth estate? Mic Wright, a.k.a. Broken Bottle Boy.
Hey!
Mic Wright, a.k.a. Broken Bottle Boy. Hey!
Mick,
hello.
Good
morning.
It actually sounded like you were on the lav. Are you on the lav? Dear
I'm
God.
not on the lav. My wife was just started running water and doing kettles. And
That's
things.
fine. That's fine. I like that. I like that homey ambiance. You know,
Yes,
don't be berating your wife just because you've locked it down now. Don't start thinking you can start being that guy.
I'm not that guy.
Embrace all of it. It's wonderful. I've got a little bit before we take your light-hearted take on the week's news.
Oh God! Enough of this. Come on.
Now, I've got a little bit of picadoring. Neil has emailed. It's not today. It's oneburst.com. He says, "Good morning, Mr. Mic Wright. I always look forward to your sideways view of the news in this crazy world we live in. Your askew and humorous takes on the news and events keep me coming back for more every week, especially with your comedic twist of making the audience think you're an extremely aggressive young man. I'm writing to you this week to share with you a couple of hilarious photos of items that came into my possession. Now, you may think that I'm too busy eating avocado on toast and dining in breakfast cereal restaurants to do my own shopping, and that's why I have a subscription veg box. Yes, I cannot commend highly enough the young man that pops his veg up my entry every Wednesday. As I was unloading the young man's marrow onto my granite worktop, I found... You love this, Mick. I found 2 pieces of veg that looked extremely like not only male genitalia, but also a female's genitalia. I was so surprised and taken aback, I nearly fell against my breakfast nook. Please find attached the photo of said private parts of salad. Now, obviously, I can't really get them up. I guess I could try, and I should try. I'll try in due course. They are hilarious, and you, Mick, ha! Your face, it'll be brilliant. I'll see what I can do.
I see that we're remaking That's Life now. Where's the dog that says sausages?
It doesn't say sausages. It just makes sausages. Anyway, that's yours sincerely, Brinsley. Please let me back onto the podcast, dear love. That's a very long ago callback to the podcast. Anyway, Mick, Good morning,
Yes,
Mace.
good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
morning, Mace.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Now, what have you spotted in the papers? What's caught your eye?
Oh Jesus! How
close to the edge are we here? Am I?
So
Okay.
So
Let's just checking. All right.
How many weeks are we planning to do this bit for? Because
all the
just
weeks
so I know.
till the end of time, to the heat death of the universe.
Okay, good. That's fine. It's existential pain. It's just I'll just add it to the pile.
Sure.
Well, I wanted to talk about everybody's favorite Antipodean great uncle, Uncle Rupert Murdoch, that lovely man whose influence on British politics and culture is nothing but positive and life affirming.
It's warm. Of all the knees I'd want to be dandled on,
what an avuncular chap!
I think his is the knee.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see? Look, do you watch Strictly Come Dancing?
No, I watched the clips.
Okay.
I just watched clips. I've seen the dance with the silence in it, which was very lovely.
It was,
but no. What else have I meant to have seen?
Well, just it's kind of amazing that Katya Jones, one of the dancers on Strictly, she went on Twitter a couple of days ago and said, "It's a shame it's come to this, but I feel forced into publicly defending myself after weeks of being bashed by a particular newspaper. The Sun have come to me repeatedly offering me sums of money to do exclusives, which I politely declined. Now it seems they feel the need to, and they've put her on the front page.
Yes,
she's throwing tantrums.
She's in the pile down there somewhere of the many newspapers.
And she says there are a lot more important things going on in the world that should be making front page news. And this isn't true. And
yeah, it's it's always interesting when, particularly when something massive's happening and the Sun is got like exclusive on I'm a Celeb or whatever. And you think, what have you decided to ignore today?
Yes,
to put this on there. But Uncle Rupert, it's particularly interesting. You use the word dandled. On the knee because Rachel Johnson, the first sister, LBC presenter, she was making an appearance at Radio Centre's Tuning In conference, which was Radio Centre is the commercial radio industry's industry body. And she was there to have a chat, and she said that Rupert Murdoch goes to Chequers and says to my brother as he dandles Wilf on his knee, "Boris, you've got to get rid of the BBC. It's eating my lunch. They've got a website. They're a publisher. It's not competitive. They've got a website. But anyway, she said this at this event. Curiously, the video, which had been on Radio Centre's YouTube channel, rapidly disappeared. So I'm not able to check whether, as she later claimed, she was just joking, and it's been taken out of context because the context is not available. Well, I thought it was interesting because she then said in her rebuttal to the Daily Mail that ran the story about this, sorry to disappoint, but Rupert Murdoch has never told the PM to get rid of the BBC, as I'm quoted as saying in the Daily Mail. It never happened. Joke taken out of context. Totally my fault for agreeing to say a few words about the future of the media. Appalls to all who got excited. So I was thinking about this a little bit because A, I don't believe her. And B, even if it's true that she doesn't know of that ever being said, Rupert Murdoch, love to hit you with some figures, right? On the same day in 2019 that Boris Johnson said he would seek a general election, well, earlier that day he'd had a social meeting with Rupert Murdoch.
It was social.
Between
turmeric lattes. Come on. Chill out.
And in the 14 months after Boris Johnson entered number 10, there were 40 meetings between ministers, including the Prime Minister, and senior News UK executives, including Rupert Murdoch. Some interesting ones like that. In the 7-week period between August and September 2020, Murdoch and Rebecca Brooks held 7 private meetings with 5 senior ministers, including a meeting between Murdoch and Johnson on the 18th of September, which was followed 3 days later by another one between the Prime Minister and Brooks. So back in 2016, there's a quote that has been put around for quite some time about that Rupert Murdoch was said to have said, where he was said to have said, "When I go into Downing Street, they do what I say. When I go to Brussels, they take no notice." And that prompted Rupert Murdoch to send a letter to the Guardian saying, "I have made it a principle all my life never to ask for anything from any prime minister." Now, it could be that Rupert has become quite forgetful in his old age, being as he is.
Isn't it rather than
a desiccated old mummy?
Rather than making a request, I would say Rupert Murdoch's more likely to give instructions.
Yeah, I think
semantics.
But there's an example to draw on. So in 2015, there was a release of documents by the Thatcher Archive, which is now at Churchill College, Cambridge. And for years, both the Conservative Party and Rupert Murdoch had always said there was no communication whatsoever in 1981 between Margaret Thatcher and Rupert Murdoch over him wanting to acquire the Times and the Sunday Times, which there was a Monopolies and Murder Commission investigation into it, because if that were to happen, which it did, Murdoch would then have control of 40% of the British press at that time. Now, it came out in 2015 that, contrary to them saying there was no communication, in fact, there had been a secret lunch at Chequers where Thatcher and Murdoch had met.
These lattes, come on.
Funny that, isn't it? Funny that.
I don't think lattes have been invented then, to be fair.
And then, in subsequent years, there were secret meetings between Tony Blair and Rupert Murdoch at Chequers. And basically, since the Leveson inquiry, meetings between the press and government ministers, senior civil servants, are now logged. But the way they're logged is you get things like Priti Patel saying she had a private lunch with Rupert Murdoch. Nothing to worry about there. No notes taken. No civil servants present. No minutes of that.
It was private.
And at the time that she had that private lunch with Rupert Murdoch, whose wedding to Jerry Hall she attended as a guest, the long-awaited report into the murder of Daniel Morgan, which touches on many individuals associated with News International and News UK, Rupert Murdoch's businesses, we were waiting for it to appear. And the person keeping that from appearing was Priti Patel. But of course, we don't know what was said at that meeting. We'll never know what was said at that meeting.
It was private, mate.
And even at official meetings, because of the 20-year rule, we won't know. We won't know what these discussions have. So we get to have now, Rupert Murdoch doesn't influence the government. It's not. But then I think we will see in about 20 years' time what we saw in 2015 about the takeover of the Times and Sunday Times, which is, 20 years earlier. Yeah, in fact, Rupert Murdoch had pressured to get Thatcher's support for that takeover in return for his papers supporting her. But this stuff is, while we're talking about corruption in British life at the moment and saying, what's going on with politicians and stuff, it is so accepted and so baked into British society that Rupert Murdoch has pretty much unrestrained access to Number 10. He is one of the most corrupting factors in British life and has been since he acquired the News of the World in 1969. The thing to remember about Rupert Murdoch is we talk about, say, Lebedev, right, and say, it's a foreign owner of a newspaper. But Rupert Murdoch is a foreign owner of a newspaper. He's Australian born and now a American citizen. He's never been a British citizen. And then people say, his companies pay a lot of tax in this country, etc., etc. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you get to buy access to the highest levels of government. And we know that, for instance, one of the reasons that he switched his support from the Tories to New Labour was that Tony Blair agreed that they wouldn't go into the euro, and John Major, who didn't really accede to Murdoch's wishes very much during his time, watch how the sleaze scandals now are operating. At the weekend, George Parker of the FT sort of said the quiet bit loud on a Times Radio newspaper review where he said, the Prime Minister didn't apologise for sleaze, so that goaded Fleet Street into looking for more stories about sleaze. When you look at the things that are coming out now, they are all facts that have been known to the press for years, but now it's time to put a little bit of pressure on the Tories.
Sure.
So, and it's the same thing with sleaze in the 90s. All of these things were well known. There have for many years been, filing cabinets in the offices of papers like the News of the World with stories about people in them, which are held until they're required to be used.
The vault.
So what we have with Murdoch is we have a man who essentially, when he says, I don't have to tell I don't ask prime ministers for things. It's a little bit like in a mafia movie where, the capo di capituti doesn't say, I want you to do this. It's just made, it's made
just
clear.
Understood. It's understood.
Yeah. And he employs other people to say what he wants so that he's never the one saying it.
Mate.
Are you going to say about lattes again? Because I can't.
No.
I can't.
Ready?
I simply cannot.
You ready?
Yeah.
Checkers.
Yeah.
Blank checkers. More like.
Bang! Oh, that's it.
I should do a satirical podcast.
We've got them. We've nailed them down now, Jake. That's it. They're done for now.
Another 100,000 listeners on.
Yeah. So.
More like. Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to raise was the grim,
this feels like COP26. An interjection from Norfolk. Yes.
The other grim spectacle this weekend of the newspapers doing their weird War Christmas celebrations, including
War Christmas. You mean Remembrance Day?
Including Tom Newton-Dunn interviewing the chief of the defence staff and just talking about how brilliant he is, failing to mention things like. This is an interview in the Times, of course, failing to mention the Times' recent scoops about the cover-up of a murder of a Kenyan woman, most likely by British troops, the fact that that British military housing is falling apart, the fact that the new tank they have makes so much noise that it causes the people riding in it to vomit. None of that came up. It's just like, wasn't he fantastic? And he also talked about Northern Ireland, said, oh yeah, it's terrible how these 80-year-old men are being brought into court for things that happened long ago. And he doesn't mention the name John Pat Cunningham, the name of the 27-year-old man who was special needs, who was shot in the back by Dennis Hutchins, the soldier who died at 80 last month while being prosecuted. This stuff is grotesque.
There is this sort of amazing kind of societal rule generally, which is you can do anything you like in your youth as long as you live long enough evading accountability. Because 100%. At that point, it's like, well, he's an old man. It's like, yeah, but he wasn't when he did the crime. And even so, he's the same human.
Yeah, and we don't apply that. Rightly don't apply that notion to, the remaining people who had involvement with, with the Nazi war crimes.
He's an old man. He's an old
man. We don't say, oh, well, he's 98, so never mind, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I this is, I've long said, that my days of best newcomer are obviously long gone. My only hope now is the Lifetime Award, which is why, God help me, I'm going to keep going with this goddamn podcast. Just for that. It's longevity now. So, you need to keep going too. You've got a long,
yes. Well, I'm
long
37,
haul.
so
yeah, exactly.
And the other thing I wanted to say is that Dominic Sambrook, who wrote an essay in the in the Daily Mail this weekend, saying, "Oh well, don't you think all this stuff on the borders of Eastern Europe
Belarus,
isn't it a little bit like there might be another war?" And it was sort of written in that kind of weepy, lachrymose way, but actually you could tell he was popping a boner at the thought of another war.
A European one. Come on.
And at one point, he writes in this essay, "Was it worth it? This is him talking about World War One. Was it worth it? The debate will never be settled." And you think, I think we've settled the debate. World War One was categorically not worth it.
Wow. I also very much enjoyed in your newsletter, which people should go and subscribe to. It's brokenbottleboy.substack.com. It's free. Come on, guys.
Or you can,
I mean, you can pay, and that would be great. I'm trying to hook them in. I'm trying to hook them in. Come on.
Yeah.
The extraordinary thing. I mean, it's only a detail, but the harassment of Naga Manchesi online for wearing her poppy on, quotes, the wrong side.
Yeah, incorrectly wearing the poppy. The Royal British Legion makes it very clear on its website there is no you can't wear it incorrectly. If you're wearing a poppy, you can't wear it incorrectly. It also doesn't say that everyone should wear a poppy. But, so demented is the experience of the BBC with making sure that poppies are being worn, that I had to bring back the November the 7th, 2016 appearance by the Cookie Monster on the One Show, where the Cookie Monster was required to wear a poppy. And of course, remember, the Cookie Monster's impression of sentience is created by having someone else's hand up his arse, which makes him very similar to most backbench MPs.
That's life with Mic Wright.
I could not hate that jingle more. I mean, and I recognise that any time I say that means you will just play it.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's the joy of trolling. This is the problem, with sort of horrific abuse of power. It feels great, and that's why they do it, and that's why I'm doing it here and now. It's all I've got. Intellectually, you run circles around me. Your breadth of knowledge is matchless. All I can do is
access to a
make
soundboard.
Silly, farty jingles that are a bit like that live.
Yeah, well.
So there you go.
Thank you for having me as ever for a bit of morning humiliation.
Thank you. Yes, you can go and get on with the rest of your life now. Mick, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
See you next week.
See you next week. That will be wonderful. Mick Wright, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thunderous applause ensues. There's one of the pictures from Neil. I think you can agree that's quite the route. And where's the other one? There it is. Wowzers! It's a beautiful, beautiful red pepper there. Anyway, that jingle and others like that are going to be available on Wednesday when I release the second anniversary album. And it's got a lot of tunes on it. Some really nice ones. And then some other ones. This is. Do you remember any? I thought I'd just play you a few of them. This is one of the ones that I did. I did like an Advent thing. There will be a theme that recurs through my little walk through some of these tunes. I did Advent tunes. The idea was I was going to do one every day in the run up to Christmas. I think I did 8. At that point, John Holmes asked me to do some music for him, and it kind of took all my time. But it's cute, huh? And then there's others that aren't quite so pretty, but they've got a certain something. Do you remember this one? It's a tune. What is your mum doing on TikTok? There's also this one, which is one of the most popular ones on YouTube. Before the show starts on YouTube, I tend to play a few tunes. And for copyright reasons, obviously, I play my own. I think I put this one up before, but this has got the sample on it. Got a little bit bolder. Very popular, that. When I say very popular, what I mean is Jem likes it. That's all. Other stuff I've done with Davey. Do you remember this remix that I did? It was where we found an old tune and I decided to flesh out the music. And this one with Davey.
First fag of the morning. First fag of the morning. First fag of the morning.
But also So like the first album, there's like 3 albums that are going out on Spotify and YouTube and iTunes and everywhere, I think. Google Music's, I don't know, I can't remember. Everywhere, simply everywhere. The first album is kind of like a lot of Christmassy stuff because I did do quite a lot of kind of Christmassy songs, and so some of it was quite pretty. I did this one. Do you remember? That was this was Christmas 2.0 that we did in, was it February? It's cute. Cute. The second album I think has a lot of kind of the more latter stuff, like
You can WhatsApp Jake, yeah, on 07862 032 654.
which curiously works. The third album is like other stuff that I've done this year that you might or might not be interested in. I've done quite a lot of theme tunes for other podcasts. There's this one. This is for a podcast called History on Film. And of course, there's My Vegan Life podcast, which hopefully you're all loving and enjoying at the moment.
What do you do? What do you do with tofu?
And there's this. So this is what ruined all the Advent music last year. This is a series, a podcast series I did with John Holmes called Cold Case Crime Cuts, which if you haven't listened to, it's well worth listening to. It's very funny and it's won quite a lot of awards. It's like a parody of Serial. Trouble with John is that he's such a frustrated rock and roller and he always wants guitar music and it's an absolute nightmare. Pat Cecil, one of our listeners, features on one of the tracks. I'll come on to that in a minute, but this is A Place in the Sun. I had to do a sort of little parody thing. This is for a one-off show by the Delightful Sausage on Radio 2. I did their theme tune as well. Another thing I did for John Holmes was Rockanori. I've called it Rock Story on the album just because I'm like, I have no idea what kind of rights deal he did with that. So, but I did a lot of the music for that. Pat did some of the music on the Status Quo track. This is The Libertines. This is Pete Doherty, and this is secretly my favourite. I love that tune. There's also some great failed endeavours, including some pictures, and also, this did get used, I think, on a cartoon thing that I don't really want to talk about.
My friends, melody divine, my heart and thine, nothing but music between us, my heart full of song. What could be wrong with me and my musical keenness? I know that my singing's not pretty. Some would say that it sounds shameful, this ditty, but though it's malign for your intestine, I'll keep singing melody divine. I'll go and make the stew now, friends.
And other abandoned projects, such as me trying to write songs that I had never heard, like Benny and the Jets. Do you remember that?
Rocking in outer space, burning down the place. Everybody's come to see that my rocking and a rolling in zero G. I sing with an unconvincing accent, but nobody can.
And the idea of doing weekly musicals. Spring Heel Jack, remember that?
Would like to buy some non-essential items. Would like to buy some non-essential items. Would like to buy some non-essential items. Petrol and me. It's all that you can eat.
Yeah, so there's like 90 tracks of, I'll use the term music loosely. 455 episodes we've done now. I've had a couple of presents as well that I got to share with you. It feels like the right time. Thanks so much to Nat and Al for this. A marvellous map, great British place names. I was going to buy this. I saw this advertised online. And then Nat and Alf bought it. Did you know there are places called Slap Bottom, Happy Bottom, Shuffle Sheeps and Cocking? So I'm going to put that up. I got this amazing present from Neil. Patreons know that on Friday nights we do a watch-along. Invariably, we watch 321 with Ted Rogers. And look, a signed photo of Ted Rogers to Susan. I'm going to have to change my name to Susan just because of that. Thank you so much for that. And I do want to thank everybody who's contributed over the last couple of years. People who've written in with stuff, particularly in terms of live contributors, Mic Wright and the stalwart John Holmes, who he's just always there. Like you say, can you do a thing? And he always does it. And that is a really, really rare thing because there's a lot of people I ask to do stuff on this podcast, and invariably on a Sunday night you get out, sorry, text. It's like, that's okay, because, he's just always there. John is truly an amazing man. I want to thank Cousin Davey for being my Cousin Davey and for being brilliant. And if you haven't listened to Audio Freaks yet, that's Audio Freqs, Freaks, doesn't work. Well, you should. It's like our old Friday shows. And it's a lot of fun. And I want to thank Julie Prunes for sort of keeping this in line and for a lot of moral support. And quite a lot of admin, frankly. I want to thank the Patreons who keep this going. You've no idea how much I appreciate you putting your money where my mouth is. And to you for listening. Otherwise, I would just be another tree in the podcast forest. And I know it's probably quite frustrating to listen to the show sometimes. Like if you're a long-term listener, and there are some old lags here, I know I sort of pick up ideas and then I drop them, and it must be quite annoying and seem a little bit flaky, and I annoy myself with that. Have no doubt. And there's always this sort of part of me that's like, I'm definitely going to pick that up again. And I'm not saying I won't, but I'm saying it can take a really long time. And I think with the podcast, latterly, I have struggled with it a little bit. I think because I can't work out what the purpose is at the moment. I mean, ideally it's fun and stuff. But like during lockdown, I knew exactly what the purpose of this podcast was. It became a little sort of community hub, and it was great, and it meant the world to me. And I got some really nice messages from other people saying it meant a lot to them. And, life kind of geared up again, and that's great, obviously. And I'm sure I will know what the purpose of the podcast is in the future. As a straight white middle-aged man, it's a little ironic to be saying I don't really enjoy grandstanding. Like I don't necessarily want it all to be about me, but then that means actually reaching out to other people more and I'm quite bad at that. And you know, maybe I'm not quite as extroverted right now as I ordinarily would be. You don't need to worry. There's nothing to worry about. Like, we all wax and wane, don't we? And I think at the moment I'm sort of fighting my own inertia a little bit. There's lots of things that I want to do. There are some things going on in my life right now and have been for some time that take quite a lot of energy up. And I thank you for your understanding with that. Nothing to worry about, but, you know, it's all process, isn't it? I'm absolutely keeping this going weekly. I might change day at some point, because Monday at 10 a.m. is a lousy time to run a podcast. Everybody has, like, important meetings at 10 a.m. That's a dumb idea. Like, a lunchtime on a Thursday might be a better idea, or something. I'll figure it out. But I'd also quite like to try and do some sort of short runs of things. You know, like I'll say, oh, for this 1 week, I'm going to do this in addition to the weekly thing. You know what I mean? If you have any thoughts about that, let me know. It's nottoday@swanburst.com. I always love receiving your thoughts, even the ones from Hedy, who I haven't read out for a while. There's quite a lot of emails stacked up. But there it is. There's a few nice questions. Is there going to be a physical copy of the album? Yeah, I mean, if enough of you want one, I'll sort it out. And I would kind of want to do it for Patreons anyway. It's just I'm not going to get it done in time for the anniversary, which is Wednesday. But yeah, okay, all right, cool. Some nice ideas coming through on YouTube. Neil suggests have Not Today Thank You on Monday, Game Saves on Tuesday, Vegan Life Podcast on Wednesday, and Audio Freaks on Friday. Well, what am I doing on Thursdays then? Rick says this podcast so helped me through the lockdown, so thank you all. Yeah, everyone was amazing there. And Pablo says I've been here since day one, and I still think Game Saves would work as a spin-off podcast. It would. I just need to find time and energy. Anyway, you guys, thanks for being here. Thank you for giving me purpose and meaning. I mean, I have my family, obviously, that's great. But, you know, in terms of creatively, thanks, guys. Thanks, fam. I mean, family, and family. Thanks all. I will see you next week as we go on.
This has been a Swanburst Media production.